Howdy folks, I'm Keith Bowen. This is Hard Rock University. We're back in the kitchen because it's freaking cold outside and I need to do a little panning. To give you an idea how cold it is, I brought this in here about 6 hours ago. So, let me get this panning tub emptied. And some nice, pleasant water in it. By the way, I have been told, I am not sure, but I've been told that warm water actually does a better job of panning because it is lower viscosity. When you get really cold water, down around 40 degrees and stuff, it actually supposedly has a higher viscosity, which makes panning more difficult. I do not know if this is the case. What I'm going to do is I have a sample from a gentleman named Jake. It has a lot of very nice gold-colored flakes in it, and I'm going to try and determine what those gold-colored flakes are. My suspicion at this point is mica, but I can't tell. Let me get things set up. Well, I think we're in pretty convincing shape to figure out what's going on here. Now, no reason to feel embarrassed, because this was the first kind of fool's gold I ever saw. And it's mica. And it's really pretty mica. A lot of the biotite mica will look black from certain angles and gold colored from others. This is doing a pretty good job of looking gold from almost any angle. But the real clue is it's up top. If that was gold, it would be settling through the pulp here. When you go ahead and take the material and add water and agitate like this, even very fine gold will settle through. You notice I'm not banging it around like a lot of placer miners do because they can get away with it. I'm doing this much more gently. And so, unless that was extremely thin gold, like a true gold leaf, which is like 1/1000th of an inch thick. See how it just flows? That is very, very typical of mica. And it's very pretty. Very pretty indeed. But that's the big giveaway, is it's up top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pan this down and see if there's any gold in it anyway. Just because there's biotite mica does not mean there's not gold. So let me get on with this. At this point, we're getting down to the heavies. And even if that was some kind of weird gold leaf, some kind of natural gold leaf, you'd be seeing a lot of gold in those corners right there. You're not seeing doodly. That doesn't mean there's none there yet, but it's not nearly as good looking as initially. And that's another thing. Whenever you see something that's extraordinarily good, well, there's a reason for the word extraordinary. That is not the sort of thing that is likely to happen, and therefore it probably isn't happening. It's just a deception. I've seen some really interesting pyrites too that looked very much like gold, and that weren't.
Those brass shell casings that you
Oh, and then the brass shell casings too. Okay, let me get this finished and we'll see what it looks like. And here's the final results. And I see a couple little tiny specks there that may be gold, that could easily be cross-contamination. I don't see anything of any significance, but it sure was some pretty mica. So the two things that keep you from getting excited to begin with: number one, too rich to be likely. I mean, when you're looking at 1,000,000 to 1 shots, what are the chances of winning the lottery? Not much. You're more likely to have misheard the numbers. So the fact that it was extraordinarily rich was a good reason to believe that it wasn't gold, and then it floated on top. And say there's just nothing in here now of those flakes, and there would be if that was gold. They would tend to concentrate, and they're not concentrating. They're floating off early in the process, so that indicates it wasn't gold. So I'm sorry, Jake. That was a very interesting question, and thank you for sending it, because it lets other people see what it was. By the way, this was an excellent container to send it in, although wider mouth would have been better, but he sent it in a package, a bubble pack with this. Nice, good, solid container for the sample. And I'm sorry that it wasn't good, because if it was, I'd be trying to help you out for a small percentage, because that was some very, very pretty looking stuff. But the fact that it was floating on top of the material was a really good indication that that's mica. So that's one of the standard things that people mistake for gold. It's the first thing I ever mistook for gold. So there's nothing wrong there. Happy prospecting, and keep it safe out there.